Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast, the ultimate podcast for paintball enthusiasts. Each week, we dive into the world of paintball, bringing you stories, insights, and tips from players, coaches, and industry insiders. Sponsored by 1023 Sportswear. Looking for high-quality gear that performs as hard as you do? Check out 1023 Sportswear. And as a listener of the Planet Paintball Podcast, you can get 20% off your order with the code Planet Paintball. Suit up, save big, and play your best.
All right, welcome back to the Planet Paintball Podcast, brought to you by 1023 Sportswear. That's TEN, the numbers 23, sportswear.com. Use code Planet Paintball for 20% off. And Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Go out there, say hi to John. The season's coming to an end, but we got a couple more months out in Colorado before it gets too white out there. And Green Goat, your aches and pains rubs for all your needs, and Josh Connolly Tattoo. Hit up Josh if you want any tattoo work. He's located in South Carolina, kind of on the border there between North and South. So hit him up and say hi. Also, limited edition stickers. Okay, if you want them, you got to get that t-shirt order in by the 7th of this month, because that's the only way you're going to get them. 2 for 50, 1 for 30, and then hats on there for 20. Anyways, that was a long one. Tonight I got Mikey from Blackout Media with me. How you doing, Mikey?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. So you were requested by a couple guys up in the Palmetto area. They volunteered you as tribute.
They knew I couldn't say no. So man, thanks for having me. This is cool.
I've been watching your work. I started hearing about you, and then I started seeing your work, and then you got that explosive clip of one of the AC Greenville guys from the last CPXL.
Yeah.
So that one, it looked like it was doing good numbers.
It sure was. I kind of knew when I recorded, when it happened, I was like, oh my God, this is peak content. And then I had, Blue from Blue Paintball Sports. He came over, he said, "Did you get that on video?" I said, "I sure did." Shit. Because I guess he was shooting photo that moment. But yeah, that was a fun one. Shout out to AC Greenville boys. They're cool guys over there, man.
Yeah, they're a good group of guys. So, and what up, Nate? Since we're talking about you, what up, Nate? But man, how did you find paintball, and did you find film first or paintball first?
So I guess technically I found paintball first. I used to play back in like God, it feels awful to say like the early 2000s, but back when I was in like middle school was around when Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball came out on like PS2 and Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same year, it was either 2007 or 2008, they did the Smart Parts World Championship on ESPN back then. And so I found that, and I was like, man, this stuff's kind of cool. Like I want to see what's up with that. So I started playing just, woods ball out at old Pev's at AG Paintball before Pev's moved over to Aldi and Nova. Big shout out to the Pev's boys. I love them. But I just started playing, kind of messing around for a few years, and then got into my early teens, played more, but, paintball's expensive. So I kind of wavered for a good number of years there. And I think the last time I played, I was probably like 16 or 17. I'm 31 now. And around that time, I actually started doing photography. That was my one AP credit back in high school.
Okay, nice.
Somehow, I don't know how that happened, but did that. And then I always wanted to get back into paintball, but never really had, enough people that I wanted to get back into it with. So I moved here to Charlotte a little over a year and a half ago. And I was just sitting on Facebook Marketplace one night, had a couple drinks, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy a paintball gun. I'm gonna drive 2.5 hours to Raleigh and pick up this axe. And then from there, it was just immediately like fell back in love with it. I started playing more. And when I moved down here was when I was working most. That's when I started Blackout Media, was right before I moved down here.
Okay.
Maybe a year before. I lived in Richmond, Virginia previously. So I was shooting a lot of like electronic music shows, concerts, and things like that. And I was just kind of sitting there. I was like, I got this big old lens. I never use it. Let me just take it out to Palmetto with me one day. Just see what it's like. And immediately everybody was just so stoked to have a photographer there. Just, I wasn't charging anybody for anything. I was like, I just kind of want to see what's going on. And so many of the guys were like, dude, like, I can't wait to see these. Like, I don't have any pictures of me playing. It was the off season because it's the middle of winter. And so that kind of I was like, okay, let me give it a whirl, see what I can do. And then I found the C3XL through Tyler, and I just started doing it. The first C3XL event this year was the first paintball event that I ever shot. And I have the Killionaires to thank for that. Giovanni pitched me to Steven saying, if you want to get media for this is your guy. Like, he's new, but just trust me. And, sure enough, it kind of blew up from there. And it's been a fun couple of months, man. I'll tell you that much.
And, you guys got like a little media haven up there.
Yeah, we sure do. It's fun. It was honestly really helpful for me too, just kind of getting my footing and figuring out, how I wanted to do everything. Blue, like I mentioned, he's been a tremendous resource. Marcy's fantastic. G Lilly really helped me out on the video side too, just with kind of, more positioning sort of things, because he'll sit there in people's lanes all day long. And I was like, hey, I know where I don't want to stand now. Thank you. Appreciate that. But it's cool having that many of us in one kind of area, in about an hour radius of each other, because we're always working the same events. We always know, we see each other, we recognize each other, we chat, and it makes it that much more fun for sure.
Yeah. And shout out to Marcy, and congratulations on her move to Utah, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah, it sure is.
Big adventure out there for her. But she's been a staple in the media world in the Carolinas for a long time.
Yeah, I definitely caught that. She's a real gem too. Miss you, Marcy. Come back soon.
Yeah, so we're gonna miss you, but if any of my Colorado/Utah guys are listening, that Marcy.
Definitely.
So you have the axe? We still got the axe, or we were rocking something else?
No, I sold that to one of my friends from back home, hoping to get him to start playing with us more. I think he's brought it out 1.5 times. Okay. But he also, he got married recently, and he's, kind of pivoting in life. So, we're not going to press him too hard. But no, I don't have the axe anymore. I went and bought an LV2 for my birthday that year. That's actually how I met Paintball Dad. Just bringing an LV2 out to Palmetto. I was just gonna go play some woods ball because I didn't know anybody. Comes walking by, it's like, hey man, I like your gun. Do you want to come play some speedball? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I've gone pretty much every marker since then. I had a CS3 for a while, Lux Idol, TM40. I had a Project R5 that I was too scared to use, so I sold that.
Okay.
And now I have a regular R5. So
those project ones are starting to become real works of art.
It was so beautiful. It was a color swapped one. It was like the black body with the purple cap, purple frame and whatnot. And I loved it. It shot great. And I was just sitting there one day, like looking out of the mud at Palmetto after a big old rainstorm. And I was like, man, if I stuff this thing and just, I could just like visualize one big scratch along the body, I would never forgive myself. And I'm not the kind of guy to just have a marker as like kind of a showcase piece. I understand people that do. And I was like, this is not like, I'd have, an old cocker on the wall, but I wouldn't want to have an R5 quite yet on the wall. Like, I'd want to use it, but I don't want to hurt it. Whoever has, I forget the guy's name, but I think he loves it. So, I'm glad she's getting used.
There you go. Yeah, it's that's why I do the Henry Ford with most mine, all black.
Yep. That's exactly what I did with my R5 right now.
Just keep it simple. Any color as long as it's black.
Sure is.
If it gets banged up, just adds character to it.
Exactly.
So you've kind of embedded with the Killionaires for the season. How has obviously a lot's gone on in that camp. Good and bad. How's that been from a filmmaker perspective?
It's been really cool. I'm really, really appreciative of all those guys, especially Steven, because they were the first group that I kind of became friends with. Like I moved down here from Virginia. I had friends in Charlotte, but I didn't know anyone that played paintball.
Mhm.
And so at that first C3XL, I was kind of, I was just trying to be semi-professional. I had my stuff over in the corner tucked away. And Steven was absolutely not having it. He came over and said, where's your stuff at? I'm like, oh, it's down there by the pitch. He goes, bring that shit up here. What are you doing? And just kind of forced that family on me. And I got a special place in my heart for all those guys. It's definitely been a year of ups and downs, but it's also made everything that I've done feel that much more special. It adds another layer of connection to it. And also seeing their growth just on and off the field. It's been really, really cool. A couple of younger guys, a couple of older guys, but it's become a real family kind of thing. It's really special, and I'm thankful that they've let me stick around and have adopted me in their own way.
Well, I hear you're playing 5-man with them next year.
I sure am. Yeah, I told pretty much everybody that I don't have anything against 3-man.
Mhm.
I don't personally love to play it as much as 5-man.
Okay.
And so it's been a good 7 months of I'll play 5-man, but 3-man, I'm doing media, I'm happy, and I want to do more media for other 5-man things. But we got, a little one-off here. And if there's a series that opens up that I can kind of find a place in and, be able to work my now slightly more flexible schedule around, I would definitely love to. So the cat's out of the bag on that one. I'll see you guys on October 11th.
There we go. Yeah. The C5XL debut. There.
Yes.
Is Blackout Media the full-time gig now, or?
Semi full-time, most time. I also work. I'm a musician. I produce electronic music.
Okay.
And that was kind of one of my hangups for not joining a team off rip when I moved down here was, I didn't want to make that commitment to a team and not be able to uphold it to the standards that I have for being on a team. So between playing shows, I work at a music venue here in Charlotte called The Rabbit Hole.
Okay.
Audio technician there. And then I do media for the venue, for other artists, and then all the paintball on the side. So it's blown up more than I expected. I didn't think I'd be able to, pay rent taking photos and videos of people, but it's cool. It's kind of surreal.
Hard work pays off, man.
I guess, dude.
And yeah, I went to college around Charlotte, so I'm familiar with the music scene a little bit. It's got a pretty good little music scene going.
Does. That was actually what brought me to Charlotte. When I moved here, I moved in with my manager, Zach Poe, who will never see this, but hey, Zach. But he was from Charlotte and lived here, and I had some life things go on up in Virginia, so I was looking to broaden my horizons a little bit. And he said, "Hey, we got a house. Come on down."
Nice.
And so I moved down for music, and then I've just kind of tried to find my own little niche in everything, both music and media wise. And it's been going pretty okay.
So are you is your own music the background to your videos also?
I haven't done that yet. A lot of the stuff I make's a little too out there, I think, for kind of the vibe I'm trying to cultivate with a lot of stuff I do. But that doesn't. I should sneak that in there one of these days for a reel here or there, and be like, hey, you should check this guy out for no particular reason.
So how far out there is the music? Are we talking DJ Starscreen and beyond, or?
I mean, it's kind of, now I produce more down tempo kind of chiller stuff. If I don't know how familiar you are with the Super Tash, Charles the First kind of guys.
Okay. I've heard of Charles the First.
Yeah.
Not super familiar.
Rest in peace. That man was the GOAT. But it's all kind of in that realm of just electronic, nothing too wacky, but it's enough to it kind of catch people off guard sometimes. But I think it could work for a couple things.
Nice.
And I have an album that I'm working on, and that might actually be a cool background for one of those slow-mo paintball videos that's just kind of a vibe sort of thing. That would actually probably work pretty good. So I might steal that from you.
Hey, go for it. A little early morning walking up to the field kind of vibes.
Oh yeah.
Nice. So how often are you finding yourself at the paintball field? In music, I would assume a lot of weekend work also, but night.
Yeah. I'm still out there pretty much every Sunday. They're, the all the guys know, like when I show up, they can tell immediately if I was working till 3 a.m. or not. But that's never really stopped me. Cause I really fell back in love with the sport, being down here and having just the whole Palmetto community. Like it wakes me up at 7:30, like last weekend I had one of my best friends in town. So I wasn't going to play because her and I were just going to, do Charlotte things, whatever.
Yeah.
And my body woke me up at 7:30, no alarm clock, still hadn't gotten done processing all the alcohol from last night. And my body was like, all right, we're going to go play paintball, right? Like that's happening now. And I was like, no, we got like 4.5 hours to sleep. Like, let's calm it down.
Yeah. Once you get in that rhythm, it's hard to break it.
And I'm not a morning person, man. I'll tell you right now, I'm the last person that wants to be up that early for anything except for paintball.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm 10 alarms in the morning except on the weekends, and then I'm up and out that door.
Yep.
I think it drives the wife wild.
Oh, I'm sure. I know that, especially when you hit the sneaky, just lean over and tap it and you don't fully wake up yet. Yeah.
Oh. So what made you land on the R5 after going through all these different platforms?
Really, I just love the shot.
Okay.
I loved my Lux and both the Idol and the TM40 because I think ergonomically that's the best marker on the market right now, and I'm going to catch some flack for that, and I'm prepared for it. But I'm not a fan of the die UL frames. They're just a little too narrow at the top for me. I got not small hands, so I struggled with that. And I had my CS3 and I loved it, but it was just I've learned that I'm not a fan of the Gamma Core. It's just a little, I don't know. It's not that it's not refined, but it's just, it's functional, which I love, but I'm not playing in conditions where I need necessarily the most, perfectly reliable, throw it in the mud, step on it, kicking down the street. I'm okay with taking it home, cleaning it out, make sure everything's cool. So that brought me to the Idol. And then I wanted something just a little softer. Like I love the shot of the MXR, but I hate everything else about the MXR.
Fair enough. Look, the UL frame is take it or leave it, right?
Yeah. And the way they did it on the MXR, they made it a little thicker compared to like the DSR, I think even the M3. So it was doable. My best friend, Jesse, he's a big MXR guy. And, he's right about a lot of things. The way it shoots, the way it performs is probably better than most other things on the market when it works. And it's a difference between something like that and an Idol, where an Idol, you might have an issue. You can fix it, a ribbon cable gets bent or, got to clean out the eyes, whatever. You can fix it and it'll run. But having kind of the still being diagnosed issues with the MXR platform, those are things you can't necessarily fix. That shot delay that people are still talking about, that's a big one. I know they got the new free flow tack now that fixes some things, but there's still some weird eye fault related issues. Not to say that the R5 hasn't had those, but it's got that Planet Eclipse solid platform to it. It's got a little bit of fun. I can tune it a little bit. I can make it, a little bit more mine. So I really enjoy it. It has its own quirks, of course, that I was literally in Discord talking about, definitely not arguing with people about earlier today, but I really enjoy it. And I'm excited to see, what else they bring to that platform. I ended up buying a Geo4. That's what got me back to the R5.
Okay.
I was like, this is cool. How soft can we go?
Well, the R5's right there.
Yeah, sure is.
And then I see the Method hat. So did you have the Method bolt and the stuff, or?
I sure do. Yeah, I had the Method bolt in my Idol, which I really, really loved. Kind of regret selling that, but
I was using the shocker the other weekend and just ripping like I'm a long time die guy, like since the Matrix came out, before the UL frame even, and I picked up that shocker and I killed a lot of people with it.
Was it one of the new eras, or are you running like an NXT or something?
It was a new era, yeah.
Okay.
Picked it up from one of the Rice and Bean Boys, had it in their bag, and
cool.
The DSR was not behaving. So
really,
which is rare, but I think
Yeah.
I switched too much from mech frame to electronic frame, and
Yeah.
sometimes wire connections and stuff can get a little funky in there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit
That's
to be
valid.
desired.
Well, sometimes all it takes is getting another marker in the bag to get the old one to just snap back into
start
shape,
acting right. It's like,
you got to give it concern. Like, hey, you want to stay in this bag? You got to start getting your act together. Let's party.
Get the act right.
Yeah,
going.
Exactly.
So filming wise, man, what mask are you wearing to film?
So now I've pretty much fully locked into the F8s.
Okay.
You see, there's one there, there's one there, there's two over there, there's another one in there. Just because I like the way it feels. I like the way it fits. I can see plenty fine. I'm slowly getting better at lens changes on the ProFlex frames.
It's an art.
It's an art, and I'm not making art out of it. I'm getting skill checked on a weekly basis by some plastic. But, pretty much full-time F8s now. I still have my carbon zeros that I do really enjoy. And there are a lot of times where I will wear that for filming, just if only because I can really quickly, clouds roll in, storms roll in. I can just throw a new lens in there and be on my way. It takes 20 seconds, which I do appreciate. It is, a lot lighter than the F8. So for long days, I don't have foam rubbing my face raw while I'm mushed up against a monitor trying to stabilize things. But, that's kind of my main two rotation anyway. I have a Virtue something or other that it's good. It's fine. I have no issue with it, but I don't love it the way that I love, the carbons and the F8s. It's just neck and neck. Some days I prefer one, some days I prefer the other.
The F8s, it's hard to beat the look of like a classic JT.
It really is. Like the first time I ever got like a picture of me wearing the carbons, I was like, I look like a Bionicle. I don't know how I feel about this right now. So I started switching to the Pro Flexes, and then those, like the regular flexes, I don't like how far out they kind of flare in the front. I like a more thin profile because I already have a pretty big head. So the last thing I need is an extra ½ inch in each direction to catch balls on a peak. Pause. But so the F8 kind of hit all the marks there.
Yeah. Yeah. Brings it in a little bit tighter for sure.
Yeah.
Although I do like my carbons too.
Yeah.
I think carbon
it really is a cool
the
product.
best lens in the game. But yeah.
I'd
super
agree with
refined. But like you said, you look like a Bionicle a little bit.
A little bit. Like for some people it works, but I think I'm like, you put it on and I'm stretching it so much already. So I had the more coverage version, and I didn't like how far down. It was just getting in the way a little bit. So I got the small one, and I think the small one, I don't know if it's actually narrower, but it feels a little narrower. So I feel like every time I put it on, it kind of screams a little bit. But it still works great, and it's done. They've done me well, and I'll continue to have a carbon, mask on hand pretty much at all times, if only to match my loader.
Keep it in the gear bag.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I bring an outrageous amount of stuff to the field every weekend. How can you not? You're saying I can get a wagon on Amazon for $30 and just carry my life to the field every Sunday?
Yeah. Might as well.
Exactly.
What was the hardest, or what was maybe not the hardest lesson, but like the biggest difference in between going from shooting these electronic music shows to paintball?
I think the biggest shock was really just the pacing. Shooting concerts of any variety, you can kind of, to a degree, manipulate the night to your pacing, even though, yes, there's, a defined set time list and, you only have this much time to shoot one artist. On the field, though, it's a lot more dynamic. Being able to switch between shooting photo and video quickly, I've learned, is probably the most, by far the most important thing I can do. If I can quickly get a shot, shoot a video, and then I see a potential photo lining up, hit a switch, and the quicker I can get into photo mode, get that photo and get back to video without a whole lot of downtime, that makes it a lot easier. It's also obviously a lot harder on the body than shooting shows, shooting electronic shows is, even though, yes, I'm running around and yes, it's sweaty. It's nothing like 12 hours at the field during the day. And so that,
The South Carolina Heat.
Dude, I don't know who I was thinking that Virginia had heat like this. That first summer I got down here was brutal, man. Hasn't gotten much better, but
it's the humidity, man. People discount it, but it's a real thing.
And it becomes a real thing for shooting media too, because there have been times I've shown up for tournaments and, I'll pull my gear out of my bag, just getting ready to start shooting. And, I'm in a air conditioned hotel or in my apartment, whatever. And I get out there, every lens I have is fogged for the next hour on and off. So I'm sitting there, trying to wipe it off real quick or blow it off or, try to get it like acclimated. I know there's a couple tricks you can do that I always forget to try. About putting it in a Ziploc bag before you take it home or before you take it out, and that lets it like more slowly adjust to the humidity. But that's another thing that's more difficult. You have paint flying everywhere. There's dirt, there's mud. I've dropped cameras just in the mud on the sidelines, or trying to get out of a lane or trying to stay out of a ref's way, trip over a cooler. It's a lot tougher on your equipment as well. So it takes a little bit more precaution to kind of keep everything in working order versus, and that's not to say I haven't broken cameras at shows, that happens too. It's just a lot less often than, I just got shot in the lens mount. There's paint seeping into my camera. I got to get that out, but I also only have, 3 more points for this team that may not make it to the semis. And I want to make sure that I get, a shot of this guy and this guy or, whatever it may be. I really think the pacing is the biggest difference. It's fast on the field.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I think 3-man's faster than 5-man for sure.
But yeah. Even though you wouldn't think it is, because you'd think, longer points, one thing, but also, you have 5 guys on each team that you're shooting for. But 3-man, like you can have a point just absolutely disintegrate in 25 seconds. Yeah. And then at that point, if I have, in my head, I'd like think, all right, first point, I'm going to shoot video pretty much exclusively. Second point, I'll do photo, try to run around a little bit more. Then, go to the other side of the field to get covered for the other guys coming, both ways. And if you miss one or two of those points, that could be the end of somebody's day. And then you're like, well, I need to make sure that I have enough content, enough material, not just to keep them happy, but to keep me happy, because I know the standard that I want to hold myself to. And I don't want to be that guy that's like, hey, sorry, you guys lost really hard, so I only have 3 pictures of each of you, something like that. So it's a balance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely when you're talking about like newer teams or teams that just have a bad day, like if you aren't out there a lot, it's hard to make a lot of content, right?
Yeah. I've had a couple teams over the course of the season where, they're playing well in contention for, potentially podium. Then you have, markers go down, guys get hurt. I had a guy for one of the teams I shot for 2 events ago, first dive of the day into the snake, dislocated his shoulder. Oof. And they didn't have any extras on the roster. So he kept playing, but by the end of, the last of the prelim matches, he was absolutely cooked, his shoulders just ruined. And so, they ended up having to pull out early. I didn't know that he hurt himself until I'm sitting on field waiting for them to come out, trying to get a shot of them walking through the net, going to chrono. And then there's nobody there. I look in the box. There's nobody in the pits there. Then Tyler says, all right, they're not making it, so this team has to go. Just hit the buzzer, and we're just going to call it and just keep it going. I'm like, oh, damn. All right.
Yeah. Oh, who was that? The bearded ones or something?
Yep. Yeah. It's the bearded ones.
Yeah.
Another group of great guys. Yeah, man.
Yeah, they seem like they're out there having fun.
They're having a blast, and they are some damn good players too. But it's like 2 events in a row they've had the worst luck, and I'm like, and I feel for them because I can tell how frustrated they are that it's, it's stuff that's not really in their control. It's not like we didn't play well. It's like, hey, we had a guy whose arm tried to leave the arena. We had, 3 different markers go down that weren't even, it's not like all of the MXRs had eye issues. It's, there was like, I think it was an MXR, LV 1.6 and something else, but everything went wrong. And so I feel for them. So I'm like, I don't want them to be like, oh, now we're not going to have cool stuff. Like, I'm going to make sure I get you guys cool stuff. But like, then I have to kind of like temper, like, hey, like I had, 25% less time than I would have liked to. So
Yeah.
like, let me, and try to hook them up where I can too. Cause I'm not, it's not like they're just like, oh no, I don't want to play anymore. Like I'm going home. Like they're real competitors and real good guys. Like, and I appreciate them wanting to work with me all these tournaments.
Yeah. Well, they came out hot.
Yeah.
The first event, if memory serves me right, they came out pretty hot. So are you doing just pure raw footage and edited pictures, or are you doing edits and stuff for everyone?
I'm doing, so what I try to do is for any team that hires me, you get, X amount of edited photos and then raw videos. And I don't like to put like a number, say like, oh, you're getting, 100 photos and 20 videos. I think that can, I don't know, it can lend to a lot of same shots where like, it's cool if you have that many and they're all unique. Like that's awesome. But if it's, 5 shots of the same guy in the same position, the same bunker right here,
Fred
what good is
Atterito
that?
one again.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, I think part of my job is to cull through that and just give them like the real gems, the real highlights. Like, hey, this is a better photo of this series of 4. But, so anyway, a lot of what I do is just photos, edited, raw videos. And then I'll usually work with teams that want to have an edit. Like I have a little edit for Engage coming out. Oh, that was supposed to be today. Sorry, Dev.
Hey, it might be today.
It
This
might be
comes out
today.
tomorrow, so it might be today.
So it's today. It's not yesterday's today. It's today's today. But, so I do stuff kind of on a as requested basis, teams that I have a lot of stuff for that I think I can make something cool if they want me to. I'm getting more into that. It was something I held off of doing for a while I was figuring out a lot of workflow related things, just because shooting electronic music, yes, it's a lot of media, but it's a little easier to sort through versus having, I think at the last C3XL, I shot 14,000 photos over the course of 2 days. And then another, I think it was like 6 or 7 hours of video between the two. So
that's a good chunk of the day.
Dude, my hard drives, it's out of control. I have so many. I finally now am at the point where I have like network attached storage so I can access things from anywhere. But more importantly, I can keep things for longer without having to be like, all right, how am I going to retain this footage from 2 events ago? Am I going to have to pay for, a Dropbox and a Google Drive and this? I can keep it all on site. So now there's definitely going to be more edits coming out. I have the one for Engage. I have a couple of ones that I'm working on. I had somebody hit me up today wanting one. It's something that I also wanted to wait until I knew I could deliver a product that's worth paying for versus something that's just made in like CapCut, for example. You can do a lot of cool stuff with CapCut, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about anybody who's using it or not, but I think that there's a difference that can be made versus doing something purely based off of a trend, using an audio that somebody else is using, the templates. Then you end up with, 25 players using the same kind of thing, getting the same product. Like I'd rather make something a little bit, more unique and probably a little bit more, I guess, film adjacent in terms of just the way that it looks. I think that's one of the big things that I've kind of tried to do, because I grew up watching, Monkey with a Gun, old Dirter videos. Like that's what I grew up on. So that's kind of like what I wanted to bring back. And I think that's figuring out how to do that as far as even just like a branding point of view of being cohesive as like, you watch it and like, I want people to know like Blackout Media made this versus just being like, oh, this edit was cool. Like, was this a CapCut, TikTok, Instagram reel trend, whatever. So there will be more, but that's something I've wanted to tread carefully on.
Really kind of master it or have a good understanding before it's offered to the world, if you will.
Yeah, well, not even, I'm not concerned with mastering it, because I think that that's kind of a catch-22, because I don't think you can ever master things like that. I think that there's always more you can learn. There's always more techniques you can use. There's, any number of things, but I just wanted it to have its own identity, and I wanted to have kind of hollow out my own niche as I've tried to do, just on media as a whole.
Okay. Nice. And you did a highlight reel for the C3XL. Was that the first one, or had you done? I can't remember if you did the previous ones or not.
So I didn't do the first event one, but I did one for the second event and the third event. So the one at Carolina Extreme and the first one at Command Decisions. And I did those just for fun. Like I literally got home from the Command Decisions event and I was like, I kind of want to try this, just like see what it's like. No one asked me to do it. I wasn't getting paid for it. I just kind of wanted to do it for fun. And I thought that it would be, I thought people might appreciate it, and people loved it. So then I was like, all right, now I definitely want to do one for the next event. And so then I did that one. And then Tyler hit me up and was like, hey, like I would like to hire you to do promo for this. I don't know if he wants me to talk about what we're doing or not, but we're working on a
secret projects.
It's not secret. Like I've talked about it. I don't know. I don't know what he wants as far as, things to be out there.
Fair enough.
But then he was also
week.
Oh, perfect. But then, he was like, also like, I want to pay you. Like, I want you to keep doing these recaps, but like, I want to start throwing you some money for them. Cause even if nobody else sees them, I like them. So I want you to keep making them. And I was like, that felt really good to me too. Like, I really like Tyler. I really love what he's done with the C3XL with Palmetto as a whole. So that felt good to me, just to kind of see someone else have a value for a product that I also valued. Cause like when I'm making these, it sometimes takes me a little longer just because I like watching the things. Like it gets me amped up to be back out on the field. And I wasn't even playing. I'm not in any of the videos, but I don't know if that makes me a little crazy or what, but that's.
I think that's a sign of a good product, right? Like if you don't like it as the creator, there's an issue.
Yeah, and I'm not one to shy away from saying like, hey, I don't like where this is headed right now. Like, can we reset and try a different idea? I did a video with Chavez, kind of like the mic'd up video, which is something I want to start doing more regularly once I get a mic that I can just kind of clip on somebody's strap and have some better audio.
Yeah.
But he hit me up asking if I'd make an edit for him, and we started working on it. And I sent him a version, kind of like a version 1 test. And I was like, hey, let me know what you think about this, but I want you to be really, really honest with me because I have my own thoughts, but I don't want to skew how you feel about it. And I wasn't happy with how it was going, just because, it was a collaborative effort and I wanted to kind of fit. He sent me a song that he really wanted to use. And I was like, okay, let's see what I can do with this. And I don't think that it worked for the way that I like to make things. I think it's a sick song. I forget what it was, but super sick song, but it just made it a little tricky kind of in terms of cuts. And there was a little bit of a miscommunication. So we were able to say like, all right, let's step back and let's see what else we can do with this. Cause it was a really cool, he got a 3-pack at, Command Decisions. Okay. Super cool. And then, walking down the field, bye, just super, so much aura, and it was super fire. And I wanted the video to kind of carry that energy with it. And it was just hard to do the way that I initially envisioned it. And, the way that I wanted to kind of tweak my vision to suit what he wanted from it. Gotcha. And then we ended up kind of being able to meet in the middle, and it came out super sick. So that's another just part of the whole thing, man. It's, you can never, I don't think I'll ever master anything that I'm doing in this. I think I'll get close maybe, but there's always more you can do. There's always more you can learn. There's just so much, and that's why I love it.
Yeah. Well, and it's been cool to see you and him collab together. It reminds me of the early days of Matt and 40 Media when they were, because they both kind of came up together. Literally, they're friends.
But yeah.
So it's nice to see a other duo, if you will, kind of come up.
Oh, definitely.
In the scene. So
I mean, he was one of the first people that like, it was the first C3XL at Palmetto this year. I didn't know him. I'd seen him in Nightmare Around, and I was just shooting on the sideline one day, and between points, he kind of like ran up to the netting and was like, "Hey man, can we hire you for today?" I was like, yeah, like I don't know how much you want to charge. Like we can work through that. He's like, all right, cool. Like I can tell based on watching you that you have a good eye for this, and I would like to see what you can do. And I was like, oh, shit, cool. Awesome, let's do it. And then, you know, I love that man. Seriously, like he's become one of my favorite people in the, you know, I know he's not necessarily in the Charlotte area, is a little farther out there, but just it's real good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and he's, you know, he's been in it for a hot minute.
Sure has.
So.
I didn't know any of that until I saw the episode he did with you, and I got to kind of see more of the lore, and I was like, oh damn, like I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, he took me by surprise too. I didn't know how long he'd been in it either. That's been the fun part about this, is you reach out to someone you don't know anything, and you know, after an hour conversation, you know a decent bit about them.
You know,
so
it's the beauty of things like this.
Yeah, it's just fun. But so you mentioned you're working on an album. How long have you been working on that album for?
Way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to make it super, super cohesive. Like my goal with it is to make it the kind of album that you can play as almost a mixtape, and there's no real start or end to any of the songs.
Okay.
It's also a pretty big pivot for me musically. Just, it was when I started this album was when I pivoted for kind of more high energy stuff, kind of slowing things down. Like as I've gotten a little older, I've slowed things down a little bit musically, at least. So it's been months in the works, and it'll be another couple months as I've changed more ideas about how I want to do it. And then, you know, a song I thought I liked, I just hated or didn't work live, or, you know, whatever. But it's fun. I like longer form content and longer form things like that, which is hard to do in this day and age of, you know, how much content can you get in 30 to 60 seconds?
Yeah.
It's tricky, but I think that there's a lot of depth to it that you can't emulate in a shorter time frame. And I'm okay with, you know, an album or a song not doing as well because it's 5.5 minutes long instead of 3 minutes long. Like I'm okay with that, because I think it can, if I can take somebody on a journey more, as, you know, cliche as that may be, but that's ultimately what it is. Like if I can take you on that journey and really have you locked in and really, like, you know, either feel something or just enjoy it more than just a 3-minute banger, like that's where I get a lot of joy out of creating music.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I think you know, that's something that's definitely more rare than it used to be, where an artist says, here's an album, and the whole thing is one art piece, right? Instead of here's an art piece, here's an art piece, here's an art piece.
Yeah. And here's some stuff in between that kind of sounds similar, but, you know, who knows?
Yeah. You know, when I was younger and there were still record stores or CD stores, at least, you know, I'd go out and buy a new CD, and like the whole thing was an experience, and you got to unwrap it and then you throw it in. And I would sit there and just listen to the whole thing all the way through once, because like, to me, that good album tells a story all the way through, right?
Absolutely.
And it sounds like that's what you're trying to do, is have this cohesive thing. Very, you know, spent a little time DJing, and like the Executioners were a huge influence on me.
Yeah. Nice.
So, and the flow of some of their, especially like their early stuff, in the intermixing and going from one to the other song is, I think it's becoming a lost art with you can buy one song from a guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not even just I can buy one song, but I can hear an entire song within a 40-second clip of the song.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to say that that's a bad thing, but for me, I like to, you know, do what you did, you know, open up that CD, throw it in there, and just sit and experience it. Like I have, you know, a building record collection of even more modern stuff, but that I want to just put on and just, I'm in it for the ride. Like give me 30, 40 minutes straight of just one artist, one project. And it's the best thing.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Thought when the filthy boys were mentioning me or talking to me. So you spend most of the time just filming the 3-man. You don't play them, but you're practicing with the Killionaires, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done some stuff with Vanguard just because Steve Grigg, he was the first person to talk to me at Palmetto about trying to join the team, and he was the first person that was like, scheduling. I'm not going to make commitment. Da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still on my case about it, as he should be. And I promised him that whenever he needs me for an event, like I will do it. I will play it. But for the most part, the Killionaires boys at this point, that's kind of like my close friend group at the field.
Okay.
So I spend most of my time with them and talking with them and, getting ready for events and stuff. And I'm just I'm there. I'm not trying to, force myself into a position where like I'm taking over any sort of role on their roster as far as like 3-man goes. 5-man, I might have a little more to say, but
Okay.
But that again, that's all just coincidental, almost accidental to a degree.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite moment that you've caught on video? Either paintball or in music, really.
No, I think paintball will probably take the precedence here. And I think it was 2 moments, both from that last C3XL at Palmetto. The standoff with between AC Greenville and ICE, that was just, I had never seen one in person to that degree, and seeing that, but also then seeing the aftermath where they're immediately like hugging each other, like walking off like, oh, we're good, like try to get out of our systems. That was cool, obviously. But I think that event, kind of the peak of that for me, was watching the Killionaires win their first tournament after Steve's passing.
Mm-hmm.
The raw video from that, I'm pretty sure you can hear me crying in the background, like trying really hard to keep it contained. But it was really special. I know winning an event is always special, but just after everything they'd been through, they'd gotten so close so many times, and pulling that off, like I wasn't on the field with them playing, but I was on the field and I could just feel how emotional everyone was about it and how excited everyone was. And it just felt like a nice way to kind of tie a bow on a really tumultuous era for the program, and kind of say like, hey, like we've been through a lot and we made it out and we came out on top and we're proud of it and we're happy. We're sad because Steve's not here, but like this was like that whole event leading up to it, like we're doing this for Steve. Like that was what they said. So I got to kind of see, like, as low as everyone was, just start pushing up. And that really hit me hard. And I still watch it from time to time just because I'm it gives me chills even just thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, what a cool moment for them in the organization. Yeah. Like, especially after a loss of that magnitude, to be able to come out and put one on the board for Steve. Yeah. Something special.
Yeah, the first gold. I mean, aside from, obviously that's kind of a big momentous occasion. But, small, even just smaller things. At Carolina Extreme, Sabir from Wildfire hitting this big jump shot over a wedge, just dunking. I forget who it was. Somebody, I think maybe from Tropics, but super cool. Like kind of like that was like a hero moment sort of thing. Like, feels like he's in the air for 3 days. But it's been a season full of moments like that, and it's kind of hard to like think back and zone in on like just the one coolest thing.
Fair enough.
Actually, another one from Carolina Extreme, when we had that rainstorm come in out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, you guys had that little boomer halfway through one of the days.
It was crazy, and it ended up with some of my favorite footage I've ever shot, because you slow it down and it's all rain. Like it was raining so hard for like 10 minutes. And it just saturated everything. But like, you got guys going out, they got the empty bags of paint covering their speed feeds because they didn't have a rain lid on hand. And then, rain's going, people walking out, and they're just like, I don't want to be out here right now. Like, can we, there's thunder nearby. Let's go sit in the car for a minute and try to dry off. And then, come back out swinging, because then everybody got to cool down. So in the second half of that day, it got electric.
Yeah. How does that feel to film for you?
It was fun. I'm still cleaning up after it.
Okay.
That was 3 months ago. That clay they have down there is absolutely ludicrous. It's so thick, and between that and the pink fill evil paint, that is, I'm still finding it on everything. My camera bag is just kind of orange clay color. The boots I wear are still like, I grab them and it's just all over my hands. Like I can't get it off. But it was a really cool field to shoot with, especially having like the hill on the side where they put like the announcer's booth. Kind of a cool elevated perspective that you don't normally get at a lot of events unless you have, the scale for having a boom or, a crane or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool spot, really tucked away, really humid, that little bit of a valley there. But a really, really beautiful area. I'd never been out there because, like I said, I'm new to North Carolina, South Carolina. So getting out to 6 Mile and really kind of being out there, it was really cool. Like I'm excited to get to go back there next year, or even just if I can get out in the off season, just go play out there. Like it's a cool spot, and I like what they have going on.
Yeah, it's a big field for sure. Kind of in the cut a little bit, but
definitely in the cut. But it makes it that much better. The sun starts setting, coming down between the trees, a little bit of mist. It just makes the lighting and the overall environment look that much better. So I love it just from a media perspective, but definitely a cool place.
So, you've been at every event, right? Every day. So who are your top 4 for D6? Who are you looking at to make a big splash?
I think, obviously there's a little bit of a bias in the Killionaires camp, but I do think even if I weren't so involved with them, they've got a really good look at winning it all. The Tropics have been super solid all season. Wildfire kind of came out of nowhere, and nobody had really heard of them before the first event they played here, and they came out and won it. That was out at Command Decisions last time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. That could be.
No, you're right. The Easter
more
Shootout was their
misinformation on the
first
internet.
event.
I know those are kind of the big 3 when you look at like the points. You also have Nightmare. I think it's Nightmare Pink. I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but Nightmare is also like watching them play on Sunday just this past week. They're looking real sharp too. But then you also have Engage is doing a D6 line this event.
Okay.
And I know a couple guys that are on that. They were looking sharp as well. I think it's hard to say. Kind of pick a top. Obviously, those are the 4 that I immediately 4 or 5, I guess, that I gravitate towards. But there's kind of like the whole top half of D6 for the C3XL. I think at any point could pull it off. Could pull off the win. Going, maybe not for the season based on points, but coming into this event, like. People are looking good out there. I'm just getting to watch things, the teams that I can see. And I think that the way that this layout's going to play is it's going to lend itself to a lot of calculated aggression that I think certain teams will do a little bit better with, and where some teams may have to kind of play a little bit more of a control for their points just to keep it on their pace. For example, the Nightmare guys, they can get out there and be really aggressive and kind of force your hand into trying to contain them. Where teams like the Tropics, they're more of that, like, we can play more pocket ball. We can wait until somebody makes a mistake, and then immediately, as soon as we see that, we jump in and we capitalize. And I think this layout, it's fast, but it's not like the NXL 3-man layout where it's fast because there's nothing there. And it's just, wide open lanes. Like it's a tight little field. And I think that it's gonna make it really interesting. And I think some teams that maybe wouldn't play as well on other layouts might shine here. I think it's gonna be cool to see. I haven't really thought about who's really gonna get out there, and I'll know by about 10 a.m. on Saturday, though. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I'm gonna make you run through the whole league, man.
I'll do my best. I'll go back and watch the tapes, and I'll get back to you.
What about D5, man? Who are your big 4 to watch?
I think the Life Alert guys have been looking really, really sharp.
What up, boys?
Yeah, what's up, boys? Let's see who else. Obviously, AC Greenville's D5, right? Now I'm getting confused. Yeah,
yeah.
Greenville.
They had a line in each division. I think only D6 and D5 are. No, D4 and D5 are making it. I don't know if the D6
I
line
think
is
that's
making
what
it
it
for
is.
them.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. They're looking good. Nightmare again. A lot of depth to that program. They've been looking really sharp. I've done a couple of scrims and practices with them, and they're gonna try to come out swinging, and I think it's gonna go well for them. You have the outsiders of a couple of the guys formerly from Nightmare and a couple newer guys. They came out and they won the last event. That was the first event as that team, so I think they got a pretty big target on their back.
Yeah,
from a number of different reasons, I'm sure. I think that's going to be pretty fun just to see. There were some heated moments at the last event while they were on the field, just not because of them, but points get intense, and I think a lot of people were kind of like, okay, like you guys came out and you got lucky, like let's show you what it's really about. Honestly, I don't remember who else is playing in D5 for the finale, because we had a couple other new teams pop up.
We got AC, Carolina Nightmare, Kia Boys, Weapons, Life Alert, Outsiders, the Royals, and the Hokies are making the trip on down.
They are. Good for them. I gotta root for the Hokies, even though growing up I was a UVA kid. But any representation from the home state, we'd love to see that. Kia Boys, I love shooting for those boys. They're just so much fun on the field. You can tell they're really just having a good time, but they also they flip that switch and they're in competitor mode. Yeah. So I think D5 is going to be really, really, really tight. I think we're going to see a lot of overtimes, a lot of 1v1s. As Tyler likes to say, these boys really love playing paintball. We're going to 1v1s. I think we're going to see a lot of that. And I think it's because that division is it's like the top 6 teams there. They have their, their advantages and their disadvantages, but they're all such dedicated players. Like they're trying to win it. And so you're going to see things that I feel like that division, you see a lot of things where you've seen a team play all season and they'll come out with just a completely different game plan and they'll just vibe check people all day. I know the Royal boys had kind of a rough showing last event. I was talking to a couple of them, but they're always going to come out swinging. I played a couple points with them this weekend and they were looking great. It's going to be a fun event. I'm really excited, not just for potential content and media, but I'm excited just to see the wrap up. And I think what I'm going to do is probably do a whole season recap. And I think it'll be cool to see kind of how, players have not only just gotten better, but also organizations have just there's a whole attitude shift, a whole, just development as a group that I think could be really cool to see, just to have that sort of all-encompassing look. Because it's 5 events, but it's also, sorry, I forgot to mention Legendary Weapons boys, always looking sharp. D5 is their D5 line is always coming out to play. So I think I'd put them top 3 for sure on mine.
Okay. A lot of mix up at this last one though.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool, and I think I'm gonna actually pull it up real quick because I've had such a long couple weeks I haven't had a chance to actually take a look at it. But it's gonna let's see, season finale. Look at that. Yeah, I don't know. My phone's not figuring it out. Shout out there it is. D5 Kia Boys Legendary Life. Yeah, I mean D4 as well. Engaged won the last event. Love Devin, those boys. They're top 3 absolutely. Avid Factory, who I hadn't heard of before the last event, they hired me for media, and they were some gamers, dude. They were playing hard. They were playing well. They were sharp. They're gonna be up there. And I know Exiles I think they have somebody new that's playing with them. I don't remember who. But shout out, Rayfield and all those guys. I think that's probably well, and then also Rice and Beans, man. That
can't count out those kids.
No, you sure can. And I know they got the Unk lineup for D5, was it?
They played D4 last time and got third.
Was it D4?
Unks.
That's what it was. Okay. Okay.
The Unks aren't making it. The old men had had too many conflicts.
That was fun though. I saw that up and I was like, wait, is that just the Unks? We love a little Unk representation. I got called Unk the first time like 2 weeks ago.
But yeah,
okay, yeah, that's tough day, but we're coming out of it.
But it's in Division 4. It looks like a PBC Greenville versus Palmetto Hills battle.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and and I gotta root for my Palmetto, home teams, but there's a lot of energy coming out of that PBC camp, and I think it's just it makes it that much more fun. You want it.
I'll root for my homeboys down at PBC.
Are they only doing 6 teams for D4?
Only 6 want to sign up, so assuming everyone pays. So D4 guys, you need to show up.
Yeah, let's get out there. I'm trying to see 24 teams play.
Mm-hmm.
I got storage on storage. I want to see that end of season energy.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter how your season went. Win the last one and you're a king.
Exactly. The
season ranking's nice. The season prize is very nice.
It sure is.
Winning that last event of a series is big dog energy right there for sure.
Absolutely. You're the winner for the next 7 months. It's not just a month off. You got until March, April.
Yeah, March or April, whenever he throws out the schedule there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it'll be late January by the time we get it, just because national events and everything.
Yep.
So from a playing and film perspective, would you like to see the 3-man go to limited paint? Because we got some dogs out there that carry 8 pods out with them.
I know. I'm not opposed to it. Granted, I'm also the same guy that's let's go to 12 instead of 10-5.
Okay, hey, let's.
But I think for 3-man, limiting paint definitely makes sense. It's there's no reason to like I said, going out with 8 pods. I think that kind of fights the core identity behind 3-man. That 3-man should be a faster paced, more aggressive, higher risk, higher reward sort of format. I think if you want to do it in 5-man, sure, but I think 3-man limited paint, don't go to 12 for 3-man. Let's keep it 10-5. But just even playing on the NXL 3-man layout, there were not many points me playing mostly a back or a 2 position. It was rare I was shooting more than 2 pods. And it's not like I was necessarily, I was keeping it rolling pretty much the whole point, but it's just they weren't that long. And that I think that a lot of what they're trying to do is obviously make that more digestible for a television audience. Do I think that it may have been a little bit too fast? Yes.
I would agree with you there.
But I don't think I necessarily blame the limited paint for that. I think that was more the layout.
Well, yeah.
I saw that layout and literally I took one look at it and within 3 seconds, they made this for TV so that wherever you put a camera on the sideline, you have a full line of sight to the other end of the field. So you don't have to worry about, a floating chevron on a player that's behind 3 bunkers that this camera can't see.
Yeah.
And I think that has its benefits because there are definitely, I have this mentality. I don't remember if it was G. Lilly that got me hip to this or this was an original thought, but the layouts that come out are either good for the players or good for media. It's really hard to find a middle ground there. Ironically, I think that the C3XL finale layout, I think kind of hits that middle ground pretty well. I went and did some testing on Sunday and I had a lot of good lines that I could see. There were definitely some kind of blind spots for being on the opposite end of the field, but it played well. And I think that the NXL layout that they ran for that 3-man event was too good for media and ended up with kind of boring play. I felt like if they added even just one bunker kind of in at the 20 or the 30 in the center of the field, just to give some sort of flexibility for development outside of purely moving up the wire, or, you know, just kind of making a suicide rush to the center 50. Like, I think if you can add one other layer of dimension and then pair that with a forced pace of, hey, we only have 3-4 pods, like, that's, I think, going to be the sweet spot for 3 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree. I remember watching the ESPN thing, and I literally turned it on, looked down to do something on my computer real quick because it's during the workday, and looked up, and the first point was already over. And I was like, that was like 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think that was after some event. I was editing media for something, and I literally looked down to like make sure that that everything was, you know, loading onto the right hard drive in the right folder. And I looked up and I was like, oh, Fit's done? What?
It was pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, it's a dry run and they're trying something new. And I think that also, you know, having a limited time frame for what they can actually show makes that harder too. You know, you got to have, you know, you have an hour block, you got to have 15 to 18 minutes of commercials in that. So that only leaves you 42 minutes of actual in-game time, not even adding, you know, countdown between points, you know, da. So I understand why they did it the way they did it, and I think that they will get it dialed in, but we gotta find that balance.
I think it was a really good first run at a live event that was designed for TV, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of is what it is, and hopefully it gets better. I think paintball does better post-production.
Definitely.
You know,
that was kind of the beauty of the Smart Parts World Championship they did back in 2008. That was all post-production, like it all, I think.
Yeah, it was all post-production.
And I think that's the best way to do it, even though, yes, it's not ideal versus getting to watch something live. I think that as kind of an intermediate step between, you know, hey, I can only watch this on YouTube or on like an NXL live stream, or, you know, getting to the mainstream. I think that's a good middle ground where they can dial some things in and dial in the format to maybe even just slowly move it to where they have it now. But I think that going from traditional NXL 5-man rules and then just hard cut 3 pods, 5 bunkers, good luck. I think that's a little bit jarring for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we blew right by an hour, so congratulations, man. You made that easy.
Let's go. Love to see it.
So while we call it a wrap, but before we do, any plans after the C3XL is done as far as media?
After C3XL, you know, I was going to play the 5-man. I think during this offseason, I'm going to try to start kind of a more dedicated YouTube presence, just even, you know, recaps, old matches, things like that. But really just going to kind of prep for next year. I'm going to be doing a lot more shows, like EDM shows this winter.
Okay.
And try to play as much as I can while I have nature's air conditioning out there.
Enjoy that cold weather.
Yeah, man. And just try to, you know, just keep the momentum going. You know, I don't want everybody kind of gets cold and then, you know, we still play, but then it's like, oh, it's a little chilly. Like, let's go out and have some fun. Let's do some cool stuff. You know, we have C5. I'm sure we'll do some other cool things. Definitely going to come out for red versus blue. Try to make it out to, is Fulda this weekend? Or is that next week?
I don't think Fulda's until November, is it?
Cool. So Keith was wrong. Thanks, Keith.
Because I haven't gone to Fulda because I go to Cup.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm going to Cup too. Okay. But really, I think for the off season, just going to try to play more paintball and just kind of keep grinding to a degree, but just enjoy a little bit of time off and, you know, just hang out.
Cool.
Have some fun.
Nice. Well, shout out who you want to shout out, man.
Shoot. Shout out, you know, obviously all the Killionaires boys. You guys are some good boys. You know, Tyler, Pete, Kathy, all the Palmetto family. You know, my parents might watch this. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. All the, you know, Northern Virginia family, the Pevs guys, Nova Trauma. Yeah, and shout out anybody who asked me to do this. This was a ton of fun. I was only a little bit stressing about it. It was good. It was
Didn't
a
give
really,
you that
really
long
fun
to
time.
stress.
Exactly. You know what? Honestly, I appreciate it. It made it way easier. I was like, well, we're just going to go in. We're just going to have some fun.
You're just gonna do it. Well, I do appreciate you coming in on the Monday night to save my my Tuesday afternoon show.
Man, happy to do it.
All right. Well, with that, we'll see you next time on the Planet Paintball Podcast. All right, dude.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code Planet Paintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball Podcast